There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. There are people with love and harmony. Oh, it's not greatness, right? Subdue is purity. We're another people of different culture. I didn't heritage bias and oppressive. Oh, I see. A nation from the trigger of Africa. Rising with strength of mind and power. In your time, nobody gonna praise us. Rather you all gonna praise us. With the flag, with the flag, with the flag, with the flag. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, my home. Biafra is our home. I remember days way back, 1967. That toll and the blood couldn't kind of get her. Mama screaming, child screaming, pops and a run. 2.5 years, over 3 million gone. Wow. Cause we asked our freedom, and we're going back to our sovereign kingdom. The shadows gone when we try, but won't say nothing. Same bad in the grave, what you now suffering. Should I talk about the days, dropping shells like rain? Sugar had the first place, poverty was blood. Abaganazo winning when he was stronger than flood. But the juke is too strong, I fought them off of the chart. Thought the bloodshed's gone, then he came a king. 260 and the massacre, he started again. So bloody damn, I couldn't cry tears. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause, then we're trying to break them. It's our freedom, but the war was against us. Wave your flag over Africa. Welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people outside of the sea. It is the nation that the Lord has chosen. For the people of Zion. It is the nation that the Lord has chosen. For the people of Zion. We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. I see rising sun from Africa. Oh, this is our victory. Oh, yeah. I see vision in Africa. Oh, yeah.
Onye si na agata anya ahụhụ ma ọ bụ na onye ife arụsị anyị wee na-efe arụsị iwe were iwe gị na ọmụma gị wee bịa leta anyị ụmụ anyị wee na-anwụsị ụfọdụ nọ n'ụzọ ije ha anaghị alọta ụlọ ọzọ nne na nna wee na-ata ahụhụ wee na-ata ikikere eze nwaanyị konye ka ọ gaa ubi ga arụ ọrụ Fulani chiri ehi bata ebe ala gị n'iyi okwu ebepụghị isi anyị bụ ka anyị kpọpụ onye nwe anyị n'ugwu Awụsa ahụ ejide anyị wee gbuo ihe ọ bụ anyị mara aka n'ime ha si maka ha aga n'ihu elekwa ọdụ ụgbọ mmiri n'igwe ọcha bụ ememiri ọya nke dị na Kalaba otu aka ahụ anyị na-ala nsọ ebe Biafra bụ ndị kọstọm sokonye anyị n'etiti anyị anọghị n'ime mmiri kama kọstọm jiri ebe niile ha wee na-ata anyị ahụhụ anyị kwuo ekwesịpụta anyị ka kpọchie anyị kwuo ekwesịpụta anyị ka gbagbuo anyị onye nwe anyị na Chineke na nke bi n'igwe ọ bụ ụzọ dị agha isi na-ebu ndị iro anyị anya wee karịa ndị nke gị. Akwa anyị bụ ụmụ Chineke, akwa ọba aha anyị ka anyị na-aza, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza ike Chukwu, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza amara Chineke, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza Chisom, akwa ọba anyị nwe na-aza Chizoba, nna nke dị nsọ, onye ime eluigwe dịka otu onye iro dị na anyị bụ ụmụ gị. Bịa ka iwe zọpụta anyị, bịa ka iwe napụta anyị n'aka ọjọọ ihe, bịa ka iwe lụọrọ anyị ọgụ, bịa ka iwe tetuo ozu. Ọ bụ ọkọwa mmeri na Goliath, Chineke nna nke igwe ruo mmeri na Fero, site otu a mee ka Fero guzo n'ihu ụmụ ndị anyị ga-ebi ka o wee taa akọkọ igiri ọtọ ọzọ. Ị ga na-edu anyị n'ụzọ niile nke ezi omume. Ọ bụla adịghị na anyị na-aga ndagwurugwu onyinye ọnwụ. Ọ bụ nwa bụ ekekere n'igwe n'ụwa, onye ọbụla kere gị n'oge mmalite n'oge ọgwụgwụ, kama anyị nwe anyị gwa anọkpa ahụ ofu ụbọchị anyị ga-anwụ n'ezie, kama ma akọ na okwu gị na-anọgide ego mgbe ebighị ebi. Ọ bụ ya mere anyị ji were gị n'anya isi, anyị wee na-asị nna nke dị nsọ, bịa ka iwe gosi anyị Biafra na ndụ na-abụghị n'ọnwụ, bịa ka iwe na-ekebe gị na amara gị wee kpuchiri anyị ka uwe, bịa ka iwe zọpụta ndị nke gị, bịa ka iwe mee ka Biafra wee bịa, ka anyị na-ewetụta na nsọpụrụ na ịja mma site n'aha gị onye bụ Chukwu nke abịa ma. I have another caller on the line. This caller can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Your name and where you're calling us from, please.
Oh, my name is Bright Daniel. I'm calling you from New York.
Bright Daniel. It's a very beautiful name.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I have a question.
Go ahead.
My question goes like this. Is there in any way, this is just like a reassurance, because our eternal leader, Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu, whom people were really hoping on, that when he will come back, that he will bring back Biafra.
Yes.
But lo and behold, he came back, and people lured him to Nigeria.
Yes.
People lured him to being, because to me, I still believe that Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu has not been buried. Because when I see them covering his coffin with Nigerian flag, I feel so bad. So my question to you is this. Is there in any way that you will be ever lured into agreeing to anything Nigerian? That's number one question.
No, hold on to your questions, because we are going to have a conversation. You raised an issue that I've been expecting people to raise for a long time. There's sometimes maybe we forget, or when we call, we become over exuberant and we forget. You have raised, keep your other questions, don't forget them, please. Let me answer this one you've just raised. Our eternal leader, Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu, was in Ivory Coast. Even as a child, I was hoping, the stories my father used to tell me, I felt that one day this Messiah is going to come, excuse me, from Ivory Coast and save everybody. That was what I used to think as a child. I used to think that Ojukwu will come back one day and all of us will be saved, right? It didn't happen that way. And I will tell you what's happened. It is exactly what they have tried to do to me. Exactly the same thing. I had meeting with governors and with some elders. They said you must renounce. There's a way you do it. You do this, you do that, you do that. You contest, you float political party. You have the followership. People will vote you in. Maybe you can become a senator, or maybe you have your state governor. You know the same rubbish. And I said no. They asked me why am I saying no? Why do I keep saying? I said to them, because the man that I revere and respect, Dim Odumegwu Ojukwu, you promised him the same thing. He came back. He was then and still till now the most popular man in the whole of the Sioux political space in Nigeria. He came back. In Nnewi, he lost election to a non-entity. Senatorial election, he contested and he failed. They rigged him out. I know those who were instrumental in rigging out Ojukwu. So the same thing they're asking us to do now, IPOB, they asked our leader to do, Ojukwu. He did it and they rubbished him, they messed him up. You know what the Fulani said after that? They said, oh, look at the man you call your icon. He's your leader, he's your general, he led you in war. Look at him, ordinary Nnewi senatorial district, he couldn't win. He failed to a man called Onwudiwe. look at it anywhere. So that you see, I am a student of history. I allow myself to be guided by history, what has happened in the past. But when they write, when they call BBC to talk about their rubbish Igbo presidents, all that courage, they never remind them that our leader came back, they lured him into zoo politics. That was why I said no to zoo politics. But you know, one thing our people are very good at. Once they give you advice that is wrong and you say no, they'll go and say, oh, he doesn't listen to people. He doesn't want to hear he doesn't listen to advice. Whenever they're saying somebody doesn't listen to advice, it's because that person has failed to compromise. These are the things I want our people, our hardcore Biafrans to understand, because they are the ones that will lead us to freedom, not all the flavors by the side. It is the hardcore that will lead us to freedom, not the idiots by the side. Do you understand? Oh no, they have given me everything and I said no. They came to DSS to give me, I said no. They came to prison, I said no. They came to my house, I said no. They called me governor's meeting, I said no, I don't want anything. All I want is freedom. All I want is Biafra. Why do you think I had issues with Chifumi Awodo? Why do you think I had issues with him? Because of the same thing. I said, that way people are going, Ojukwu went that way. They rubbished him. Look at Imo State. See what they did to him in Imo State. The same political process. You join, after a while, you vote. After voting, they declare whoever they like as their winner, and that's the end of the game. So I will never join any zoo politics. I will never stop fighting for Biafra. Listen to me very carefully. My father, my mother died as a result of this. I have lost men as a result of this. IPOB family members that I was close to have died. They did not die for one Nigeria. They did not die for Nigerian party politics. They died fighting for freedom. And that freedom we are going.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us wherever you are joining from. This evening we have come to do our due dance. As always, I wish you all a very happy Sunday. Happy Sunday wherever you are watching from. I appreciate you and I thank you for joining. Remember, we have a responsibility that we have to continue to pursue and follow. That responsibility is to make sure that the voice of Biafra is heard across the world. We will never allow the enemies to stop us from preaching the gospel of Biafra. No matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it is, we must continue to preach this gospel of Biafra. And the gospel will get to the ends of the world. Wherever you are watching from, like and share, invite people to join us on this very quick evening program. Just to update you, you know a lot is happening. For a long time, we have been talking about the end of Nigeria, and some of you do not take it serious. You think it's a joke. But it is becoming much more clearer by day. Every day, when you go to the media and you see what is happening, you will understand that the end of Nigeria is approaching very, very fast, faster than we even expect. Nigeria is ending very fast, and there is no more doubt that the international community is focusing on Nigeria to see how it will end. So the world have remembered Nigeria after the cry of our people for a very long time. They have remembered. That is why any place they go today, they follow disgrace. Any place Nigeria go today to sell their lies, they are disgraced. Wherever they step their foot to say their lies, they are disgraced. And you have seen one of their disgrace recently. Many of you saw it. And the more is coming. This is also why I am crying to our brothers and sisters, wherever you are, to sheathe your sword. This is not the time to fight each other. This is not the time to attack each other. This is not the time to push lies and propaganda. It is time to prepare ourselves for our freedom. because the freedom we have been crying about is here. The freedom is here. So if we cannot follow and pursue our freedom now, I don't know when we are going to do it. So wherever you are, I urge you to please do your own best. Just hang on a little while. I know it is difficult. Today, the truthful voice are not being listened to. When you speak the truth today, you become an enemy. Once you speak the truth, you become an enemy. People see you as somebody who doesn't know what he or she is doing. But that will not make us to stop saying what we have to say. So wherever you are, continue to stand strong. There is light at the end of the tunnel. This battle is going to be won before you know it. At the end of the day, it is going to end well for us. So don't give up, don't get discouraged. Continue to do your own part the best way you can. Whatever you know you can do, continue to do it. Don't allow anyone to discourage you. Do not allow anyone to discourage you, no matter what you see, no matter what you hear. Remain strong. Keep your mind open to every discussion. Keep your heart open to learn. And I bet you at the end of the day, you will see that we are in the right path. So, my fellow Biafrans, once again, I wish you a very happy Sunday wherever you are. And I would like to bring some program to you so that we can listen to these things. Many of you must have seen it over and over again, but I say repetition is for emphasis. Everything we are playing here is to confirm the end of Nigeria. Their lies is no longer selling. The lies is no longer selling. Today, the more they tell their lies, the more they are being exposed. The more they try to say their lie, the more things get worse. Any place they go, they are rejected. Any place they go, they are being exposed. And that is a very interesting time. So at this interesting time, the only thing you can do as a person is to hang on very strong, and do your own part. Don't matters. We must continue to focus. And I bet you at the end of the day, you will understand that we fought a good battle. Let's listen to what they have here.
I haven't heard that in a while. How are you this morning? Good morning, Rafai. Lady in red, looking so lovely. You know how you bright up the morning. How are you? Very much. Perfect. Our favorite Niger wife. When Rafai said Queen of Omukuta, I wanted to just add, can you go? It's good to see you smiling. Yes, these guys have been keeping me cheery and happy. Thank you. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending with the devastating attack in Borno State, which is demanding urgent attention as suspected Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists on Wednesday launched a coordinated assault on the 82 Division Task Force Battalion military base in Ngoshe community, Goza local government area of the state, abducting more than 100 women and children, burned down homes, armored vehicles, and businesses. Many residents have fled to nearby towns, leaving Ngozi largely deserted. Senator Ali Ndume of Borno South has confirmed the attack, urging intensified military operations in Sambisa Forest and Mandara Mountains to curb the resurgence of insurgency. More displaced Nigerians, 100 women and children abducted in the night while the nation sleeps. Nigerians are asking a very simple question. And ISWAP issued a direct ultimatum to the surviving Christian community to convert to Islam, pay
Sadly, this is St. Mary's Cathedral, Okari, and as you can see, the whole roof is completely raised, and some of the pews were rescued, and that's about the most that the people who came early could do. So currently, some of the pews are burning inside, and the whole roof is gone. With time, we'll find out the cause of the fire outbreak. But at the moment, this is the situation, and this is the condition of the Cathedral of St. Mary's, Okari. So please, continue to pray for us. Let's hope that things get better someday.
the cause of the fire is still officially under investigation, with some reports pointing to an electrical fault following a power restoration, while others on social media have alleged arson. Now, no lives were lost, and for that, the community is grateful. We'll continue to follow up on the story. I mean, that fire was quite alarming, and I'm sure our viewers would agree it was quite shocking to see. Like I said, many users on social media have alleged arson. Some people have, blamed jihadists for this fire. But I'd like for you to summarize the stories that I have brought forward this morning. We're hearing 100 women and children have been abducted in Borno State. Children, women, some of them pregnant. And we're seeing our Nigerians displaced. Now they're going to obviously join the IDP camps. And also we're hearing, these jihadists. It's not the first time we're hearing. I believe last week or 2 weeks ago, we did take another story of ISWAP demanding that Christians convert, pay taxes, or die.
Oji, these numbers for me never. they never make me feel numb. Every single time I hear more numbers, it's like the first time, because every week we hear hundreds. In the beginning you would hear maybe 20 or 30, but consistently now you find that when these incidents happen, it's 100 or more displaced, killed, slaughtered. And what's heartbreaking is that we don't get to follow these stories to a conclusive end. In that we do trace the stories, but in essence, these people have total impunity in our ungoverned spaces. And you ask yourself, how is it that we still have ungoverned spaces in this day and age? The new IGP, Inspector General of Police, was sworn in just yesterday, and he really has a tall order. But we continue to ask ourselves again around the conversation of, is it terrorism or is it crime? Where do the two intersect? Because we know that if it's crime, it's for the police. If it's terrorism, it's for the army. But in this instance, we're seeing neither police nor army, there's just simply nobody available. Because you wonder, how is it these massive communities, huge numbers of people are moved? You hear the attacks go on throughout the night. I was listening to Dr. Bati speaking, I believe it was yesterday, when he was saying that often there's so much bureaucracy from the time you announce that there's a crime before they can deploy and so forth. But our security infrastructure just needs a total reset. And I'm glad that the IGP's agenda is firmly set on state police. The president is also set on state police. The National Assembly have been given the mandate to move swiftly through those provisions. And it's because of instances like this. When you look at some of the security reports, they say that these crises and these violent incidents have now taken on a new shape, which is that you have jihadists and you have bandits are now having their own turf wars in some of these areas. In fact, the reports say that if you look at the Nigeria, Niger, Benin border areas, attacks from 2024-2025 to present have gone up by 86%. The death toll has gone up by 262% in this period. It shows you that they're consolidating. So we just totally need to throw away what we know as security right now and create a new security infrastructure, because clearly what we're doing now, they say insanity is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different outcome. So it's now time for us to start on a new page and see whether state police is going to be the silver bullet that will be able to start making an impact with regards to securing Nigerian lives and property. Yes, very well said, Levi, very well said. 100 women, children are out there at this moment. We are definitely understaffed. We've seen the numbers of, our security architecture, and, hopefully the state police intervention may help. Meanwhile, a soldier, Lance Corporal Rotimi Olamilekan, serving with the 81st Division Task Force Battalion in Maiduguri, Borno State, has reportedly been held by the military after posting a video calling on politicians at all levels to have their own sons enlist with the army or with the Nigerian police force. Olamilekan was reportedly arrested earlier in February and has allegedly not been able to access legal representation. Let's take a look at the video.
Please, when we do this in Nigeria, before any governor or any minister or any senate or any house of representative or even the chairman, before they came into position, please let them be nominating one of their sons. Your son must become a military or a security member, not an officer cadre in the security. He will be among the other rank, so that they can be able to feel it like the same way the other ones they are feeling it. If you are still an officer cadre, you can still be seen. You will not be going to some places. But being that other rank, you will see that so many people that will not contest. So let's do this. Let's do it. If we can be able to work, it's just a suggestion. Who am I?
Well, reports state that Olamilekan had been fighting on counter-insurgency teams within the military for over 4 years without being promoted. We are seeing here Lance Corporal. We have not gotten any official report from the military as regards to his whereabouts or whether or not he is, still under detention. But he it's within his right to call on anyone to enlist in the police force. I think it's within his right. But I mean, there are some codes, the military codes. I'm sure you are aware of some of these codes that you can make some comments as a soldier. But this is, I think, freedom of speech. Your thoughts?
So what they will say is that codes bind them, and the military have been talking about men serving on the front at the use of social media, and they've been talking about this for a while. So they are going to invoke all of those codes, but the question is, what is it that Olamide said that is wrong?
Oh, no.
See, in medieval times, if Nigeria was to be in medieval times, do you know the people that will be leading the battle? It's people like the president. He will have to, in fact, for him to be a president then, he must have been battle tested. I mean, the likes of people like Attilas of this world, the Genghis Khans of this world, who were they? They had military valor. So they will be the ones that will lead the line as regards this. Haven't you wondered that till date the British royal family still ensure that some of their male sons still serve in the military? Do you know the reason for that? Because leadership must also be the one to protect the people. But today, we don't have that. And why is he saying that? Because of the pain police officers and military officers go through and lack of work. For while I was there, somebody sent me a message about some police officers not being paid, I think their pension or something. And they go through all of this stress and they get killed in the war front. And they're so quick to say their family members should leave the barracks. Look at what happened. People were attacked in the barrack. The soldier dies. What happens to their family afterwards? Nobody cares. We just so move on, and we are quick to move on. But what he's saying is very apt, that maybe if the leaders that are enjoying the largesse, that are flying the private jet, that are living the good life, maybe if they can only feel what the people on the battlefront are feeling, then life will be a whole lot better. Yes, some people will say it's part of a mandatory conscription, it's not supposed to call for that and all of that. Apart from all of that, we know they have a code. But sometimes you wonder, just imagine, people like Olamide are not being promoted. He earns next to nothing. But it is this in the same country that the NNPC used 5 billion to rebrand and just change name. We're talking about 210 trillion. Just 36 million were used to fund healthcare. Today, you just brought a story about over 100 people kidnapped again.
Yes.
The question I would like to ask this government that, do we even have a director of the people kidnapped? Because to date, we stopped talking about those that were kidnapped in Waro in Kwara State.
Yeah, they're still there, out there. They're
We've
still
not talked
out
about
there.
people that were kidnapped in January and multiple kidnapping. So, do we even have a record? And for me, boots on the ground is good. But when state police starts, you will see that state police is not really the solution. We need to be able to invest in intelligence and reconnaissance. But how do you invest in intelligence when there's complicity across board? Till today, we've been asking, who are those that instructed the military to leave 30 minutes before the Kebbi Girls incident happened? Nothing. Till today, the government is saying that they don't pay ransoms. But foreign media is giving us facts and giving us resources to the effect that they pay ransom. So we don't have transparency and clarity in all of this process. And that's why Olamide is saying, and he's speaking for all of us, because I will say what Olamide is saying. The only difference is I am here, but he's in the military. I'm not a soldier. Maybe if they can bring their own children to come and feel what the soldiers are feeling. I know he's going to suffer for whatever is said, but Olamide, you are indeed a true hero, and you speak for all of us.
I mean, I am also here advocating for more boots on ground. We need state police. I need for state police because I've seen it work. We need more military intervention. We also need more soldiers to battle the insecurity we're facing in Nigeria. Now, let's highlight this deeply troubling case out of Ikorodu in Lagos State. A primary school teacher, Mrs. Rukayat, is crying out on social media saying that she's facing the possibility of life imprisonment over allegations that she defiled a 3-year-old female pupil in October 2021. The case, which is stretched on for over 6 years, began when Rukayat was reportedly 3 months pregnant. Well, in a video now circulating on social media, Rukayat stated that she suffered a miscarriage while in detention, which she says was caused by torture and starvation, and appealed directly to the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the Attorney General of Lagos State, and the Director of Public Prosecutions to come to her aid, saying that she is innocent.
Attorney General of Lagos State, DPP Department, help me, I am innocent. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, help me, oh. Mrs. Babajide, help me, oh. I'm innocent. I'm also a mother. I'm a mother of 2. I have experienced childbirth twice. Concerning this case, I lost a whole pregnancy. Nobody is looking towards that pains. A 3-year-old girl recalled that I was the one who of her clothes rubbed her chest region and inserted pyro into her vagina. And anybody who commits this kind of a sin should be punished under section blah blah blah. Ambassador Rukayat Tobiloba shall be prosecuted to life imprisonment. This is 6 years. 6 good years. They removed the school. They removed Toluwani. They removed the proprietor. They removed the driver. They now hold me responsible. They hold me responsible. It's because they see me less among them. They see me as someone who has nobody. He shared 20,000, a work of 20,000. Want to send me to life imprisonment. I can't even afford any lawyer, any payment again. I can't afford it. I need my freedom. I want my freedom back. Please help me. Have mercy. They brought her story to your table. This is the story, guys. Help me. Help me. Go. Thank you so much.
All right, this was a lengthy video, Ayo. I mean, she had alleged that the allegations started in the school. There were, conversations on whether it was the driver that defiled the young girl. I mean, the details are quite gory. But also, this case raises serious uncomfortable questions about the reliability of evidence, the shifting of accusations, and the integrity of the investigative process. A woman who was pregnant at the time, who lost her baby in detention, who has now spent 6 years fighting for her freedom. While all other suspects have been discharged, Lagos State authorities must ensure justice in this case, and this is what we're asking for here. I mean, your thoughts? And life imprisonment, I don't know how it measures
So for
with
defilement
as well,
yes,
you can help.
as part of the Lagos State law, defining a child maximum sentence, we follow the story. And it's often said that the cases of rape, child defilements could be one of the most difficult cases to prove because of the evidence required to prove the case. This 6-year case started with the defilement of a 3-year-old child while in school. And so there are a number of issues around even the story in itself. We've had one too many stories of children as young as 2 years old, 3 years old, being defiled by the very people who are supposed to protect them whilst in school. Remember the infamous case of the Christian teacher and the 2-year-old girl who was defiled. He was eventually found guilty. He was a pastor. He was pious. So what I'm trying to say is that the face of a defiler is not someone, it's not regular. Sometimes there are people who are, people who are meant to be upstanding citizens. I say this to say that whilst we encourage detailed investigation so that all parties are fairly heard and that justice is served, but we must get to the bottom of this. One of the things I'd like to raise this morning is not just for Lagos State, but across all the states in Nigeria. Can we do more in protecting, in child protection of our children in school to ensure that we don't hear cases of defilement by the people who are supposed to protect them? Number 2, I believe that this case would have been easier solved if we had child protection procedures in the school whereby they would ascertain who was with the child at a particular time. The way the story had been going, merry-go-round, is because they don't even have the details of who was supposed to be with the child. First was the head teacher. He claimed, okay, he wasn't in school. Then was the driver. They claimed the driver was never, alone with the child. It is traumatizing to ask a child to give an account of such an
event. Yes, a period. And that's why her story has shifted and moved many times. You cannot expect a child, especially in the face of intimidation, adults questioning and questioning, to remain in one place. It's very difficult. That's why it's a very sensitive case. I hope the Lagos State government, which they have proven very good in investigating matters like that, kudos to DSVA, but I hope that justice will be served. It's not about coming to cry on TV, with all due respect to the woman, but I hope that they will investigate and the person who is responsible for the defilement of the child would not go scot-free. That's what we're asking for.
I mean, I think that her advocacy is quite apt. She can cry as much as she wants. Ayo, can you imagine facing a terrible thing if you are innocent? Hold on this table, we need investigation, and I've highlighted this video now for the authorities. But still in Lagos, a content creator, Somto Okonkwo, is raising awareness on the scale of homelessness and the extent of drug use in a community along a railway near Oshodi. In a video now making the rounds on social media, young men are seen sleeping on tracks, living under the train's platform, with some suffering from severe drug addiction. Let's take a look.
Along the railway, hidden in plain sight, a community of homeless individuals seek refuge, struggling with addiction and forgotten by many. These are people living on the edge of the society. They only shelter the streets beside the tracks they once dreamed of escaping. So the only way to wake them up is by giving them a slap.
Hey! You don't wake up. Ah!
This is actually the most saddest thing I've ever seen.
Okay, so if you know it's faster this time, I'm going to be faster.
I met this girl, a lifelong resident of this hidden place. She is a drug addict. Alone, her family is unaware. Trapped in a life most of us never see. I had to bring her story to life. What's it? What's happening with you? Have you been taking any medication? How do you think that we can help you right now? What do you need? Due to her inability to speak, she always mentioned that her belly hurt so bad.
She used to take on some drugs. The drugs that is affecting her. She can't walk. She can't.
According to what one of the guys told me, due to her inability to walk or stand up, most of the boys under the bridge take advantage of her at night when she sleeps.
Many of us now walk. Many of us now have house. Many of us we are sitting outside with the children and the wife.
By this story broke my heart. We're yet to see an official response from the Lagos State government regarding the content of this report. But this video is shocking as it shows an entire generation of young Nigerians who seem to have been forgotten. Meanwhile, a trending video showing young boys believed to be Almajiri children with the drug locally known as Sholisho has sparked outrage online, renewing concerns about child neglect and substance abuse on the streets. These are children. These are children. Sholisho is a glue often used by vulcanizers to patch bicycle and motorcycle tires and is labeled by manufacturers as a hazardous and potentially deadly if swallowed. Many of the children seen using it appear to be of primary school age, raising questions about child protection and long-term societal risks of widespread drug abuse amongst minors. Meanwhile, the Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, on Tuesday, highlighted the dangers of alcohol consumption for young people.
Violence is a major factor. Alcohol drinking in youth, major factor in youth suicides, homicides, and motor vehicle crashes or accidents. Risky behavior is strongly linked to unprotected sexual activity, unwanted pregnancies, and sexually transmitted diseases, academic problems. Drinking often leads to lower grades, missed classes, and impaired cognitive function. In our country, it is responsible for banditry. It is responsible for kidnapping. You cannot be in your right mind and point a gun at somebody. It starts from alcohol and then goes on to hard drugs.
I mean, she has highlighted the dangers of drug use, but people online have questioned how alcohol is responsible for banditry. I don't know if she really meant to say that, but I mean the dangers of alcohol is glaring, and this idea of drug abuse among our young children. I also want you not to forget the first story that we took about this community near the rail track, Shodi.
All right. Well, I'll start with the NAFDAC DG, who started very well, I believe, in that statement. And then when it landed, she landed in somewhat of a contentious place. But what I'm going to attempt to assume she was referring to is the main point, OG, that you brought today, which is that there is a lost generation, a forgotten generation of young people. Now, what is going on? There's unemployment. There's high cost of living, lack of opportunity. You have young people who are out of school, and they say the idle mind is the devil's playground. You see it not just happening in Nigeria, it's happening across the world right now, where there's a young generation which is just very quickly wasting away due to substance abuse. And because of the poverty, the lack of employment and so forth, the substances that are available are the cheapest on the market. So each country has its own, easily accessible drugs or, alcoholic beverages and so forth that are consuming, and they are highly, highly addictive. In many instances, they call it, this is happening in the United States as well with the fentanyl crisis, and they'll say, they've stuck because those young men on the railway, I think the term they would use is that they've stuck, or the person is sticking. And I think what just breaks my heart is that we spend a lot of time debating politics. We spend a lot of time debating defections. We spend a lot of time, but we're not taking time on governance, because this is purely a result of poor governance, lack of governance, attention, because again, if there is employment, if there is access to opportunity, if one can realize their potential, yes, it still happens in developed countries, but I'm saying it's more rampant in places where you see that a young person's opportunity is hindered.
This is a big story, so I just want a quick sentence.
Absolutely. So I believe what Professor Lee, when she was speaking, was to advocate for the ban on sachet alcohol, just putting her point forward that alcohol, or the use of alcohol, especially with underage children, or easy accessibility to it, has caused a lot of ills in our society. And that's what she was speaking about. And we cannot deny this. We see people on our streets. Don't forget, in crime rates, not just in Lagos, but across the places where we've seen this. This is our future. The president keeps talking about how the young population in Nigeria is our greatest asset. It means that we are eroding our greatest assets. Very sad.
So in all of this video, I'd like to pose a question. Where are the social service workers that are supposed to be funded by governments, that run the homes, that run the rehab centers, that take these people in and rehabilitate them? So where are the social services? You know why? Because there's no budgetary funding for them. How will you fund social service when you just only spend 36 million on capex for health?
I'd like to.
That's the social service center. Where are they? Who is funding them? You see, the reason why, because I play in this sector, I've done a lot of rehab work for people that are using drugs, and I worked extensively with Pastor KG Hamilton, KG from the Philadelphia, it's all the private sector, the churches,
Very good.
the religious bodies
Very good.
are the ones doing the work.
Very good.
So where are the government-owned sectors? This is a conversation with
Thank
the
you,
social service sectors.
Thank you, Rufai. And I also like to thank Somto Okonkwo for highlighting this deeply troubling story coming out of Oshodi in Lagos. Let's now highlight the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who has made a pointed call for women to mentor girls from disadvantaged backgrounds, while also calling on younger women today to dress more modestly. The First Lady made these comments at an interfaith breakfast on Thursday in Abuja, where she challenged women in public roles to take on active roles in mentorship.
I challenge you to have a mentee with you, so that not somebody you've been mentoring all the time, but just pour into the life of a young girl from an indigent background. Help them, even if it is to give a scholarship, encourage them, and teach them good virtue, teach them how to be good women, teach them how to dress well, because we see that our young people, they've really taken it. I don't read social media, so it doesn't bother me. I will take it again. Teach them how to cover up, and being naked is not beauty. Don't know why they are doing that, but beauty comes from within. And our men, God will also help them and crucify their eyes.
This is, I tell my daughter that being naked is not beauty. But you men, close your eyes. Close your eyes. It's true. Well, I think that she's a mother of the nation. This is really what it is. Well, shall we now take this feel good news, shining a spotlight on students of Grange School in Ikeja GRA, Lagos, as they warmed hearts across Nigeria after a video of their Accolades Day performance went viral, showing a choir of over 100 pupils in navy blue uniforms singing the beloved Yoruba folk song, Bata Mi Adu Ko Ko Ka. Let's take a look. Yeah, you learn. I know that's why we're here. This is such a beautiful. Yes, it's a tribute.
Go to school.
Yes.
Do well, you can buy good shoes.
Very well said. On that note, I'd love to thank you all for a great analysis on what's trending today. You all have a great weekend, and Grange, congratulations. I love that song. Batami Aduko.
You're the militia, Daniel. Who said those words?
Who brought the leadership
I'll ask you first time.
to governance?
Tinubu and his people created a militia. Who said those words?
Tinubu and his people never created a militia.
So why did you say they did on January 22nd, 2023?
I never said it.
The candidate of all progressive conference as well, Bola Tinubu and his people created a militia. This is the first time in the history of Nigeria where seeing a political party creating a militant arm leading to election.
Does he have a militia that tried to kill you?
He doesn't have. I never said he tried to kill me.
I myself have received threats from him and his camp. Your words.
I never said that.
There is also this threat to life, and I can tell you that because I myself have received threats from Asiwaju and his camp.
You said it was so corrupt, the 2023 election, Tinubu's win. You said that you couldn't eat food for 3 days.
I never said that. Where?
And legitimate complaints were raised all over Nigeria. That part is what threw me off balance. In fact, I became so sick. For the past 3 days, I found it very hard eating food.
Tinubu is not just super rich. It's what he does with his wealth. In 2019, 2 armored money trucks, bullion vans, were seen going into his house, coming out of his house. Where did that money go?
No. Point. Did you see the money? Or those who reported, did they see money inside the building?
Was there no money in the bullion vans?
How am I to know?
You said it was money in the vans at the time. 2023, February.
But there is only one person in Nigeria who is alleged to have moved money through bullion vans, and that person is on their ballot as the presidential candidate.
On the eve of the presidential elections, 2 cash-laden bullion vans. Your words. were seen on the premises, which was ostensibly for vote buying. Your word, January 2023.
Have
you just disowned everything you said in order to work with this president?
What you just said now, I want to put it on record on my own honor. That's not what I said.
Last question on this. How can Nigerians take things seriously on eliminating corruption when you appoint someone like Abu Bakr as Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, a man who, according to the US Justice Department, with others, embezzled, misappropriated, defrauded, and extorted billions with a B from the government of Nigeria under the dictator Sani Abacha. Bagudu avoided criminal charges, cut a deal with the Nigerian government, returned some of the money, but the president literally put Nigeria's budget in the hands of a man who's accused of losing billions of dollars.
You started your introduction by saying it's a sovereign country. The decision of the court in the United States was not binding the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
He gave $163 million. And that man is now in charge of the Nigerian budget. You're okay with that?
I think.
Do you think it's funny? I mean,
no, I think it's funny.
No, I don't. I think people who are giving $163 million back shouldn't be in charge of the country's budget.
Thank you for your observation.
Okay, but do you think they should be in charge of the budget?
There's no evidence that that minister has misappropriated funds in the government of Nigeria.
Why did he give back $163 million?
To Nigeria or to the US?
To Nigeria.
Why did the US government give him $100?
Settlements. That's what you do in settlements.
Okay.
Why was he settling? Okay. So you're comfortable with a guy who's accused by the US Justice Department of embezzling with the Sani Abacha regime billions of dollars being in charge of the budget?
Are you okay with a president of one of the countries in the world who was convicted by the courts in that land and the president is still governing the country? No, I'm just asking. Okay, are you also okay? Are you also okay?
Because it's Donald Trump, I'm a well-known Trump supporter.
Are you also okay with the prime minister of a country who was accused of making a wrong judgment in an appointment that led to a lot of problems, but he has not resigned, he's still government? Are you okay with that?
Well, by the time this show airs, he may have resigned. So your argument about Keir Starmer and Donald Trump, basically everyone else is corrupt. Okay. So why did you just let Donald Trump and the United States bomb your country on Christmas Day?
The United States government did not bomb our country. The decision by the US government was anchored on the intelligence sharing between Nigeria and the United States and the agreement of the operation.
So Donald Trump just didn't bomb Nigeria on his own whim?
No. The US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, called our own foreign affairs minister when the decision was made that that was the time to strike, and the foreign affairs minister got in touch with the president.
So this was a joint operation, you're saying?
Yes, it was a joint operation.
What I don't understand is, how can it be a joint operation?
Yeah.
Donald Trump says that there is a genocide going on against Christians carried out by Muslims with your government turning a blind eye. You've called that narrative a hoax. You said it creates discord in Nigeria.
Right.
So when Donald Trump says he's bombing Nigeria to protect Christians from a genocide, is he lying?
We both disagree as to whether the so-called genocide in Nigeria was against Christians. We believe that it is a targeted killing by insurgents, Boko Haram bandits, and all of these criminal elements against the people of Nigeria, Christians, Muslims, and those who have not identified with any religion. Donald Trump believed it is Christians. We now felt, rather than arguing about whether it is against Christians or not, there is one area we both agree, that we have a joint interest in the fight against terrorism.
But you're fine with the fact that his motivation is something you disagree with. You think it's a hoax?
Yes, because...
So when Donald Trump says there is a genocide against Christians in Nigeria, is he telling the truth?
It is a half-truth, in the sense that yes, Christians have been affected, but the whole truth is that all Christians, Muslims, and those who have not identified. I said the narrative of Christian genocide was a hoax. That's his opinion. Everybody's entitled to it.
Is he right?
We believe there is a targeted killing of all Nigerians. Evidence has shown. And that is where we are focused on fighting terrorism.
So let's talk about the terrorism.
Right.
Trump claimed he targeted, quote, ISIS terrorist scum.
Right.
And every camp got decimated. But a lot of investigative reporting on the ground shows that few, if any, combatants were killed. Some bombs landed in empty fields. A local leader in one of the districts said, the same militants we knew are still there, loitering around our communities.
No, there were killings of terrorists.
That's not what local leaders.
So I can call local television that testified. Arise News did, Channels Television did.
Okay.
So there was a killing
Well, you're not on the ground, with respect.
No,
Al-Haji Bunu, who's the traditional ruler of the district, says, we saw no dead bodies, even where the bombs fell. Those are his words.
No, because the bomb didn't fall in the town. It was at the camp, that enclave, where they gathered.
So you're okay with having the Americans bomb Nigerian people's homes?
I'm not aware of that one.
You're not aware of Morenike Saka, who said, I began to scream for help. I had to crawl my way out of the room. The missile tore through her apartment building, according to the Washington Post. How about Musa Soliu? I was in my room. I was buried under the ruins. I don't know how to restart my life. My belongings are destroyed.
Houses were not destroyed.
Are you telling us that Nigerian citizens are lying about
No. I am saying that the military operation that was conducted on that day was targeted as terrorists, and we hit them.
You have a history of not hitting terrorists and hitting civilians. You know that, right? Your country.
I'm not aware.
Well, on December 21st, the Nigerian Air Force said that they handed over compensation to people who were hit in an accidental airstrike on Christmas Day 2024. You just bomb every Christmas.
When are we?
Christmas Day 2024 and Christmas Day 2025.
I dispute that fact.
We'll take it up with the Nigerian Air Force. Let me ask you this. Since President Tinubu came to office in 2023, the situation has worsened in your country. You have a mixture of militant groups, you have bandits, you have clashes between herders and farmers.
We also have
Nigeria is now
of foreign interests in
Nigeria, I'm sure. Nigeria is now the 5th deadliest country in the world. Are you proud of that record?
I acknowledge the fact that we have insecurity in Nigeria, and until the whole narrative of the Christian genocide, then we began to see back-to-back attack in Nigeria we had for the first 2 years of the president's administration. A substantial peace in Nigeria.
Actually, the number of deaths went up on the president's watch.
After this incident of a Christian genocide. And by the way,
when did that begin?
There is no country of the world today that is free from insecurity.
No, I agree. That's why I asked
you.
Okay. We're not bombing London to root out militant training camps.
But you have had so many of the bombing on behalf of the United Kingdom by the United States.
You're making rather spurious comparisons. 11,000 people were killed in conflict in Nigeria in 2025. That is up from 8,700 in 2023. That is a 26% increase in the number of Nigerians killed since your party and your president came to office. That's a pretty awful record.
It's awful. And we're fighting hard day and night. But that's one of the reasons why the president traveled to Turkey, where we had bilateral agreement to deal with insecurity. That's where we're cooperating with the United States of America. That's why we're cooperating with any country of the world. The reason is because since 9/11, terrorism is a global phenomenon.
Agreed.
And so every country is involved in it.
But it's getting worse in Nigeria, that's the problem.
I can't say it's getting worse.
You just agreed with me when I gave you the number.
So
8,700 killed in 2023, right. 11,000 killed in 2025. That's getting worse.
How many people were killed in the United States last year?
In conflict-related violence.
So this is not a conflict. This is an act of terrorism.
Okay. So how many people were killed in the United States in terrorism?
This is part of what Donald Trump many years ago in his first term classified the Western media as what fake. The reason is because context matter.
This is not Western media.
You are well aware.
This is not Western media.
Yes, I understand. But
this is the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data, ACLED, the most respected group that counts conflict-related violence around the world.
Let me ask you, where there is a terrorist
I can also give you another source.
Conflict?
I mean, National Human Rights Commission. This is a Nigerian group. 2,266 people were killed by bandits or insurgents in the first half of 2025. That's more than were killed in all of 2024. You are failing. Amnesty International says you are failing in security. The numbers don't lie.
It's unfortunate, and as a government,
and it's getting worse.
Working day and night,
and it's getting worse.
Situation. I don't agree to the fact that it's getting worse.
How can it not get worse if more people die in 1 year than the previous year?
Context matters.
What's the context?
The context is not getting worse.
What?
Yes.
The context is not getting worse.
The context is that it is not getting worse because you see, this is water, right? Okay. If you have the water half, you could say half glass filled or half empty.
Yeah.
Isn't it right?
Yeah.
So the Western media always see Nigeria, Africa, and some of the activities in Africa as half empty. Excuse me. But we see it as half full because when we look at it, and when I say context matter, before the president took the oath of office, we knew the situation in Nigeria.
And you made it worse.
When he made the decision to take bold step to put Nigeria in better trajectory, we were well aware of the fact that it was going to incense lots of people.
Okay,
we are also aware.
Make your point. I get the glass half full. I get the context. I also understand basic mathematics. Let me ask you this. President Tinubu only declared a national emergency in November of 2025, brought in a raft of policy changes after Trump declared your country to be a country of particular concern for failing to deal with the threat of Christians. Does your government only spring into action when it is internationally shamed into doing so?
Unfortunately for you, 6 months before that, we arrested the leaders of Lakurawa and Boko Haram. Some months before that, we killed a certain number of terrorists that the U.S. government, State Department, commended Nigeria. The U.S. Embassy celebrated the fact of the exploit of Nigeria before Donald Trump said that.
But again, he shamed you and you declared a national emergency. You didn't do it before he shamed you.
We declared the national emergency 6 months before Donald Trump's statement.
No, that's not true.
The president
of November 2025.
No. Much earlier, around I think April or May, the president declared national emergency on insecurity.
But the actual national emergency was in November.
Let's
talk about, people can look this up. Let's talk about kidnappings. The world remembers Chibok in 2014, when 276 schoolgirls were taken by the militant group Boko Haram. Very little has changed, unfortunately, in Nigeria. Just last November, 250 students and staff were kidnapped from St. Mary's Catholic School in Niger State. 2 years into Tinubu's presidency, Nigerian research firm SBO Intelligence said, and I quote, Nigeria's kidnap for ransom crisis has consolidated into a structured, profit-seeking industry. That's embarrassing for your country that you have a kidnapping industry.
I agree with the fact that the insecurity associated with kidnapping has now become a crisis economy. But much more than that, I know of our government's effort in dealing with that insecurity. If you have a little understanding of the nature and the boundary and the geographical measurement of Nigeria and the tendency for insecurity coming, then you will understand that we're fighting a high-headed insecurity situation. With respect to the kidnapping of children, the government has taken measures already. We've introduced what we call Save the School, where students and schools that are in remote places where there is no security are brought back into state capital, where they get the education that they need.
But Nigerian people don't believe. 2 out of 3 Nigerians say that security. Africa Barometer, May of 2024, 2 out of 3 Nigerians say security agencies are handling the abduction of Nigerians fairly badly or very badly. 1 in 3 Nigerians say they personally know someone who's been kidnapped.
Yeah, you have
a stunning statistic. Amnesty, Human Rights Watch have lined up to say that you have allowed impunity to flourish, you have failed to apply lessons from previous attacks, damning indictments.
I told you that's not what they say.
That's not what Amnesty said?
Yes. Amnesty.
I've literally got the quote right here.
Cut it.
The authorities' failure has allowed impunity to flourish and the killings to spread to many parts of the country.
Source.
Amnesty International, February 8th, 2026.
And I'm not aware of that one.
You're not aware of that one?
I am aware. I'm aware.
At the weekend, you put out a video to music of you and a team researching and prepping for this show. And yet every time I've asked you something, you say, I'm not aware of that. What were you researching in that video?
You're really funny.
Let me ask you a serious question. Amnesty International, you asked me for a source, I read out the source. You asked me for a date, I read out the date. What's your response other than picking up glasses of water?
No, Amnesty has a history of calling everything bad.
Okay. I think that's what every authoritarian government in the world has said.
What is Amnesty's report about the US?
Bad.
Not just bad, you didn't use the word bad, you read.
Yeah,
what
very bad. Governments who do bad things, they all criticize human rights groups.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I do this for a living. Let's ask about corruption before we go to our panel who are waiting patiently here. Transparency International, they say systemic corruption continues to plague the defense sector, causes a major hindrance to security. President Tinubu said in August, there is no more corruption in Nigeria. That's a ridiculous thing to say, is it not?
We investigated a case of corruption, not just in the defense, but anywhere in government. This administration has had lots of people who are in government, either sacked or investigated and being prosecuted. The resolve of our administration in dealing with corruption is obvious.
Why do you say there's no more corruption?
You probably read him out of context.
No, I didn't.
No, read exactly what he said. You're cherry picking. How can someone just stand and say there is no corruption in Nigeria?
It is getting clearer to the people. We have more money to the economy and no more corruption. Full stop, close quote.
Good. So this is the context. It was communicated to the people about the exploit we're having as a result of the decision to remove fuel subsidy. We dealt with the question of corruption in the oil industry.
And that's all he said, but okay, he didn't say anything about the oil industry.
That's why I say context matters.
Well, you can't make up the context. He didn't say anything about the oil industry. He said we have more money to the economy and no more corruption. In fact, he was criticizing Nigeria for this. Last question on this. How can Nigerians take Tinubu seriously on eliminating corruption when he appoints someone like Abubakar Bagudu as Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, a man who, according to the US Justice Department, with others, embezzled, misappropriated, defrauded, and extorted billions billions with a B from the government of Nigeria under the dictator Sani Abacha. Bagudu avoided criminal charges, cut a deal with the Nigerian government, returned some of the money, but the president literally put Nigeria's budget in the hands of a man who's accused of losing billions of dollars.
You started your introduction by saying it's a sovereign country. The decision of the court in the United States does not bind the Supreme Court of Nigeria.
But he gave $163 million, and that man is now in charge of the Nigerian budget. You're okay with that? Do you think it's funny? I mean,
no,
two-thirds of Nigeria
think it's funny.
No, I don't. I think people who are giving $163 million back shouldn't be in charge of the country's budget.
Thank you for your observation.
Okay, but do you think they should be in charge of the budget?
There's no evidence that that minister has misappropriated funds in the government of Nigeria.
Why did he give back $163 million?
To Nigeria or to the US?
To Nigeria.
Why did the US government give him $100?
Settlements. That's what you do in settlements.
Okay.
Why was he settling? Okay. So you're comfortable with a guy who is accused by the US Justice Department of embezzling with the Sani Abacha regime billions of dollars being in charge of the budget?
Are you okay with a president of one of the countries in the world who was convicted by the courts in that land and the person is still governing the country?
Who are you referring
No, I'm just asking.
But which country?
Okay, are you also okay?
This room share the same priorities: security, prosperity, free commerce, and the rule of law. And you want the rule of law. Sometimes your communities don't let you have it because you got some rough communities, right? That's why together we're also forming the Shield of Americas, a new organization to advance these shared priorities in our hemisphere. And we're pleased to be joined as well by Secretaries Pete Hegseth, Scott Bessent. Scott, thank you very much, Scott. Oh, it has to be a big deal if you're here. Well, he controls the purse strings of the country. You know, he goes on television and he just soothes everybody. He did it yesterday. The prices were going. He got on. He's a soothing person. He's actually a killer, but I don't want to say that. No, he's a soothing person. He goes on television. Right, Pete? I think nobody better. So we could use him for war every once in a while, you know, soothe. Although we don't really want that kind of a personality for war. We want your personality for war. You're just perfect. Howard Lutnick. Thank you, Howard. Chris Wright. Christy Noem. Along with U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer, who you all know and you deal with. You deal very successfully. I ask Jameson all the time, can you get more? Can you get more? He's the king of tariffs, right? But he's very gentle. We want to be very gentle with our friends, right, Jameson? Deputy Secretary of State Chris Landau. Chris, where's Chris? I haven't seen Chris. He's fantastic. He was an incredible student. He went to the best schools, and he was #1 in his class at all times. And Marco saw that and saw the talent he's got, and she said, that's the guy I want as a deputy, and I heard you're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. Stephen is, I don't have to tell you anything about Stephen. Everyone knows. There's nothing, Stephen, there's nothing I can say. He's fantastic, that's all I can say. And Senator Bernie Moreno, who's an incredible friend of mine, and he ran a great race. He was not given much of a chance. He was running against a person who was there for a long time and was sort of considered a shoo-in, right, Bernie? We knocked him out. He's trying to make a comeback, but we took him out. And Bernie's done a great job. For decades, leaders in this region have allowed large swaths of territory, the Western Hemisphere, to come under the direct control, and transnational gangs have taken over and they've run areas of your country. We're not going to let that happen. We'll help you. And bloodthirsty cartels that impose their will through murder, torture, extortion, drug trafficking, bribery, and terror. And some of you are in danger. I mean, you're actually in danger. Hard to believe. But we're working with you to do whatever we have to do. We'll use missiles. If you want us to use a missile, they're extremely accurate. Right into the living room. That's the end of that cartel person. But we'll do whatever you need if you want. A lot of countries don't want to do that. They say, oh, sure, I'd rather not have that. I'd rather not have. I believe they can be spoken to. I don't think so. Many of them don't want, and it's okay too. You're going to do your, but if you need help, you're going to let us know, okay? Many of the cartels have developed sophisticated military operations, highly sophisticated. In some cases, they say they're more powerful than the military in the country. Can't have that. These brutal criminal organizations pose an unacceptable threat to national security, and they provide a dangerous gateway for foreign adversaries in our region. And we don't want them near our country either. We don't want them to come in. They're cancer, you know. They're cancer, and we don't want it spreading. We have a very strong border. You know, we have a border now where for 9 months, 0 people have been able to come through. It's hard to believe, actually, because we went from 25 million people coming in over the Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst presidents in history of the world. He was the worst president in the history of our country. We've had some pretty bad ones. Recently, we've had some pretty bad ones, but he's the worst. But he would go down as one of the worst in the world. I'm going to up his category now. It's horrible what he did. And what he didn't do was probably worse than what he did. Every leader here today is united in the conviction that we cannot and will not tolerate the lawlessness in our hemisphere any longer. The only way to defeat these enemies is by unleashing the power of our military. So we have to use our military. You have to use your military. You can't fight these people with, and you have great police. You have some great police, but they threaten your police. They scare your police. You got to use your military. In many cases, our forces have already been working closely with yours, and the United States looks forward to deepening and expanding the cooperation in the months ahead. And it's so good that we got to know so many of you. I mean, we're so many. And I'd love to get to your countries at some point. Marco loves going to your countries. He's always at one of these countries. He likes your countries the best, okay? You know, where are you? I'm in Chile. Oh, good. How's Chile doing? Good. He likes it. He feels very comfortable. We all like him, right? It helps. He's got a language. He's got a language advantage over me because I'm not learning your damn language. I don't have time. I was okay with languages, but I'm not going to spend time learning your language that much. I want to. Just give me a good interpreter. Interpreter, very important. And I know if somebody's good. I may not speak the language, but I know I had an interpreter recently that wasn't good, talking to a very strong person from a different part of the world. And I could tell, even though I don't speak the language, I could tell the interpreter was not good. When you go, when I give a long, flowing, beautiful sentence, and in this case it was a woman, and she gave it in about 1/4 the time, I said, well, their language may be efficient, but it's not that efficient. And I can also tell when I have great interpreters. Interpreters are very important. You know, you have a bad interpreter, you think you're doing well? Boy, did I do a good job talking to this one or that. Was I great when I spoke to Putin today? Was I great when I spoke to President Xi? Was I great? But if the interpreter isn't speaking right, or is weak, or is ineffective, or is just not good, or not interpreting your words correctly, in one case we had an interpreter who, when she disagreed with what we were saying, she actually changed it. We considered her a foreign minister, right? But the interpreter is, I talk about it all the time. Interpreters are really important. When you don't speak the language, they don't speak the language. People have no idea. People have no idea how valuable, and I'm on them all the time, people have no idea how valuable a good interpreter is. But over the last year, the world has witnessed the supreme power of the United States. We're the most powerful military country in the world. Again, I rebuilt it I spent so much time rebuilding it, over $1 trillion, and now we just had another budget. We may be going to $1.5 trillion. We're building a thing called the battleship, like in the old days, remember? We have a Secretary of the Navy, and he suggested, I've always said, why don't we have battleships anymore, shooting big bullets instead of, $3 million rockets? And they said, well, sir, we just don't have them. Nobody could give me the answer, but we're actually building 10 of them. And I said, you know, you remember the old ones from, you see Victory at Sea, remember Victory at Sea? And you see these ships going through those waves like the waves were nothing, although the waves are pretty powerful. They knock out a lot of territory, but you see these incredible, the pieces of art, beautiful, most beautiful, the big battleships of the 1940s, right? Power. I said, well, would we ever want to bring them back? Because we have some of them, they're museums and other things. And they said, so the new ship is 100 times more powerful than what we were looking at with those guns and French. Amazing, right? 100 times. I said, you sure it's not maybe 90 times? 100 times more powerful. And we're building 10 of them. Not to use them. We don't want to use them, but by having them, nobody's going to play games. So it's good to have them. We don't want to use them. They'll say, oh, he's very militaristic. I'm the one that ended 8 wars. I'm the one that, and we have another one coming. I think the easiest was that, and that was just, and you know, as you would understand this, the hatred between Putin and his counterpart is so great, okay? It's so great that, you know, Ukraine, Russia, you think there'd be a little bit of camaraderie, there's not. And the hatred is so great, it's very hard for them to get there. It's very, very hard to get there. So we'll see what happens, but we've been close a lot of times and one or the other would back out. But we're losing, you know, they're losing. You know, it doesn't really affect us very much because we've got an ocean separating. I'm doing it as a favor to Europe, and I'm doing it as a favor to life because they're losing 25,000 souls. Think of that every month. 25,000. Last month, 31,000. Both sides, 31,000 people died, mostly soldiers. So I have an ability to get those things done, to bring people together, and I did great with so many. India, Pakistan, that was going to be a disaster. I was raging for a number of days. I did that through trade. I used tariffs and trade. And it was amazing, but we did amazing. One was 32 years, one was 34, and one was 37 years, and we got it done very quickly. And we'll get this one done too, but the hatred is, hatred's an amazing thing. People do bad things, and people don't get things done when the hatred is too great. That's a lot of it. Just as we formed a coalition to eradicate ISIS to the Middle East, we must now do the same thing to eradicate the cartels at home. So we did eradicate ISIS. Now, during the 4 years, we had a rigged election. You probably read about it, probably heard something. So it gave me 4 years to contemplate and to stage my comeback. I staged big comeback. They say it was a comeback. I didn't think it was a comeback because I had the people on my side. So I didn't view it as a comeback, but they did everything possible during that 4 years. The crooked politicians, dirty cops, the dirty cops. They did everything possible to make it impossible for me to win. And I won in a landslide. But during that period of time, I learned a lot. And I learned how you people, and I saw it so badly, how you're suffering with what's happening with the crime in the region. And I said, if we ever come back, we're going to eradicate that crime. And I'm going to work with you. If you want, we're going to do it. We can do it pretty easily. As part of our commitment to countering the cartel presence in our region, we must recognize the epicenter of cartel violence is Mexico. The Mexican cartels are fueling and orchestrating much of the bloodshed and chaos in this hemisphere, and the United States government will do whatever is necessary to defend our national security and to protect the safety of the American people. No, look, it all comes, it's coming through Mexico. And I like the president very much. She's a very good person. She's got a beautiful voice, a beautiful woman. But a beautiful voice. President. I said, let me eradicate the cartels. No, please, President. We have to eradicate them. We have to knock the hell out of them because they're getting worse. They're taking over that country. The cartels are running Mexico. We can't have that. Too close to us, too close to you. But everything comes in through Mexico, mostly. At the same time, all of us must recommit to ensuring that law and order within our own nations. That includes showing zero tolerance for the gang activity, tremendous gang activity. In Venezuela, that's in much better shape than it ever has been. We've developed a great relationship in Venezuela. The savages who murder and rape with impunity must be permanently removed from society. We must not allow our criminal justice systems to be corrupted so that they protect these criminals and animals at the expense of your people. And for some reason, all over the world, this is a region that has problems that other regions don't have. They have different problems, but they don't have this problem. The United States last year, we achieved the largest drop in murder rate in recorded history. We have the lowest murder rate in 125 years. Hard to believe because, I don't know, it's, we've got a lot of them out, but we allowed through the Biden policies and Obama, who was another terrible president, by the way. It was Barack Hussein Obama, terrible president. It was a divider, great divider. I call him the great divider. But they allowed a lot of people into our country. Shouldn't be here, but in particular Biden, because Biden had no idea what he was doing. He had no clue. It was being run by whoever got near the auto pen was running the country. He was the auto pen president, and frankly, they let at least 25 million people come in to our country, some from prisons, some from mental institutions, gang members, the heads of gangs, the mentally insane. I'll tell you, people came in from mental institutions and insane asylum, and we took them. We had an open border policy. It's a policy divided and devised by idiots, but they poured into our country. So we went from the worst border in history to by far the best border. We have the best, strongest border that we've ever had. We have great people that did that job by securing our border and cracking down on traffickers and smugglers. We've reduced the fentanyl pouring across our border by 67%. This is in our first year, give me a little more time, we'll do better. 67%, which is a number that's unthinkable. They say if you could do 2%, 1%, but we got it down 67%. And we got a lot of the murderers out. We had 11,888 murderers allowed in our country with this ridiculous open border policy that these eggheads put in. But we're also working closely with you on ending human smuggling and the implementing of the Safe Third Country agreements, which are very important. In January, America's armed forces also ended the reign of one of the biggest cartel kingpins of all, with the Operation Absolute Resolve to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice in a precision raid that nobody's ever seen anything like it. This was in a very powerful military base, fort. And they went in and they took him out and they got him out, and people couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe it. We were right into the heart, took him out. And it was nasty. It was about 18 minutes of pure violence. And we took him out. We lost nobody. Not one person was lost. Not one aircraft or no military equipment. Zero. People have never seen anything like it. And you're talking about into a military base with a lot of soldiers, good soldiers. Since that operation, we've been working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, who's doing a great job working with us. She's doing a great job because she's working with us. If she wasn't working with us, I would not say she's doing a great job. In fact, if she wasn't working with us, I'd say she's doing a very poor job. Unacceptable. No, but she's doing a great job, Marco, right? And she gets along great with Marco. We're taking out tremendous amounts of oil. They're making more money now than they've ever made. We have the big oil companies, and they are making more money. We're getting some. They're getting a lot. They're making more money now than they've ever made in the history of their country. Can you imagine? And it's being spent properly, and they're watching it closely. And I'm pleased to say that this week we have formally recognized the Venezuelan government. We've actually legally recognized them. We have also just reached a historic gold deal. It's called the gold deal with Venezuela to allow our two countries to work together to facilitate the sale of Venezuelan gold and other minerals. They have great amounts of gold. They have good land, I tell you, very good land. But they weren't able to take advantage. The system didn't allow them to take advantage of the value of their land. As we achieve a historic transformation in Venezuela, we're also looking forward to the great change that will soon be coming to Cuba. Cuba's at the end of the line. They're very much at the end of the line. They have no money, they have no oil. They have a bad philosophy, they have a bad regime that's been bad for a long time. And they used to get the money from Venezuela, they get the oil from Venezuela, but they don't have any money from Venezuela, they don't have any oil, they don't have anything. People can't even, they land in Cuba, they can't get gasoline to fly out, they have to leave their planes behind. And they want to negotiate, and they are negotiating with Marco and myself and some others. And I would think a deal would be made very easily with Cuba. But for 50 years I've been hearing, as a little boy, I'd be hearing about Cuba. Cuba's a disaster. But I've been hearing so much about Cuba. But Cuba's in its last moments of life, as it was. It'll have a great new life, but it's in its last moments of life the way it is. And but our focus right now is on Iran, and we'll do that. I would say, what will you do? Take about 2 days off, Marco? No, he won't. Maybe an hour. He'll take 1 hour off, and then he'll finish up a deal on Cuba. That'll be an easy one. But it'll be the entire region that we're doing that. Many of you have come today, and they say, I hope you can take care of Cuba, because you've had problems with Cuba, right? You mentioned. I was surprised, but 4 of you said, actually, could you do us a favor? Take care of Cuba. I'll take care of it, okay. So as the situations in Venezuela and Cuba should make clear under our new doctrine, and this is a doctrine, we will not allow hostile foreign influence to gain a foothold in this hemisphere. That includes the Panama Canal, which we talked about. We're not going to allow it. And together we will protect our sovereignty, our security, and our cherished freedom and independence. And just in finishing up, the nations gathered here today are filled with unlimited potential. You have tremendous potential. It's a great part of the world. But to fulfill that tremendous potential, we must smash the grip of the cartels and criminal gangs and horrible organizations run by, in some cases, absolute animals, and truly liberate our people. And some people are afraid to do it because they've gotten such a foothold. I think you can get out of that, and we'll work with you if you need. With the courage and resolve of the leaders in this room, great leaders, will make our nation safer, stronger, richer, and more successful than ever before. So I want to thank you all very much for coming. I look forward to the incredible progress that's soon to come. You're going to see some incredible things. And now I'd like to ask Secretary Rubio and Secretary Hegseth to say a few words, and then I'll sign a proclamation formally launching the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, which is what it is. It's a counter cartel coalition. And thank you all for being here very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank all the leaders that are here today. I'll be very brief. First of all, Mr. President, thank you for making this region a priority. We We've had successive American presidents say that the Western Hemisphere is going to be a priority, and they never do it. And the president has made it a personal priority. He's also a president of action. That's why I believe he will go down as the most historic figure, one of the most historic figures in American history, and certainly of the last 100 years, because of what he has been able to do and is doing right now with the Western Hemisphere. Thank you for your bold leadership. It's an honor to be able to serve in your administration. And Mr. President, 2 points I want to make. The first is we have a lot of allies around the world, and we are grateful for our allies. And the countries represented here today, all 12 of the leaders here are allies, but they're more than allies, they're friends. At a time when we have learned that oftentimes an ally, when you need them, maybe may not be there for you. These are countries that have been there for us, and these are leaders that are not just allies, they are friends, and they are always willing to work and cooperate with the United States. And we're grateful. And as you said, Mr. President, these are also countries with extraordinary potential. Some are fulfilling it, some are well on their way to fulfilling it, and this is important. We want to be a partner with you in that. We want the world to see that when you are a friend and an ally of the United States, it is a good thing. It's reciprocated. It comes back the other way as well. And so the fact the president is here today and making this a priority is so critical. If I may, because some of these cameras cover in Spanish. You all right here? Oh, good. We don't need an interpreter for this one. Quiero darle las gracias. I think I'm a good interpreter. You'll find out in a second. But las gracias a los países que están aquí hoy. Estos países, primero, el presidente ha hecho esta región una prioridad en su administración. Hay muchos presidentes que han dicho que lo van a hacer, pero él lo ha hecho. Y se lo agradecemos. Y muy agradecido a los 12 países que están aquí hoy. Estos son países que no solamente son aliados, son amigos. Son países que siempre responden cuando hay una necesidad y trabajan en conjunto con nosotros, y queda mucho por hacer. Estos son países que tienen una gran población, mucho potencial, y queremos ser sus socios en desarrollar a sus países, sus economías y su seguridad. Y le doy las gracias de verdad por estar aquí en el día de hoy con nosotros. Que Dios bendiga a todos sus países, a los Estados Unidos, y gracias como siempre por la cooperación. Seguiremos trabajando en conjunto y vamos a hacer cosas muy buenas, muy importantes para esta región, que van a hacer que las generaciones futuras nos van a agradecer el labor que estamos haciendo en el momento de hoy. Thank you very much.
Is he better in Spanish or in English? I think he's better in Spanish. I think it's great. Pete, please. Mr. President, I only speak American. Well, Mr. President, it's an honor to be here and to establish in this hemisphere peace through strength. For far too long, our country's gaze was only on borders in far-flung places. Not our own border, not our own hemisphere, not the Western Hemisphere. President Trump has established the Trump corollary of the Monroe Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. And the War Department is implementing it as fast as we can. In fact, 2 days ago, Mr. President, we launched 18 countries were signatories to the America's Counter Cartel Coalition, ACCC, which is not just an organization that's going to hold conferences and release white papers. That's not what we exist to do. It's an action coalition of like-minded countries who are going to bring their capabilities to bear, with American leadership at the forefront, to ensure we attack and get after this cartel challenge, which for far too long we have accepted as some new normal in our own countries. President Trump and the American people rejected that in our own. We don't have to live with communities flooded with drugs or violence or cartels and gangs. We can seal our border, and we have to for our citizens. We share a hemisphere and geography. We share cultures, Western Christian civilization. We share these things together. We have to have the courage to defend it. And we have a commander-in-chief in our country who's set that compass heading. And at the War Department, we look forward to working with all of your countries and more that are not here to say, with our shared assets and our intelligence and our capabilities, with American leadership, we will go on offense against the cartels. They will know that we're just around the corner. Whether it's drug boats or on land, we look. The America's Counter Cartel Coalition, the ACCC, will be a force for good, for peace through strength in this hemisphere. We look forward to working with your great countries. Thank you very much.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. They are people with love and harmony. Oh, they saw greatness rise up to its purity. We're another people of different culture, Achaean heritage, bias and oppressive. Oh, I see. A nation from trigger of Africa, rising with strength and might and power. In your time, nobody gonna praise us. Rather you all gonna praise us. With the flag, with the flag, with the flag, with the flag. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, my home. Yeah, Biafra is our home. I remember each week at 967. Death toll and the blood couldn't kind of get her. Mama screaming, child screaming, pups and a run. 2.5 years, over 3 million gone. Wow. Cause we asked for our freedom, and we're coming back to our sovereign kingdom. The shadows down when we try to walk, say nothing. Say bad things like we what you now suffering. Should I talk about the things, dropping shells like rain? So I had the first pills, poverty in this blood. About the Nazobuni wave was stronger than flood, but the juke is too strong, I fought them off on the track. Thought the bloodshed's coming, then the king. 216 and the massacre, he started again. So bloody hell, I couldn't cry, yeah. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause, and we're trying to break them. It's our freedom, but the world was against us. Wave your flag over Africa. Welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people outside of the sea. It's the nation of the Lord has chosen. For the people of Zion. It's the nation of the Lord has chosen. For the people of Zion. We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. I feel rising sun from Africa. Oh, this is our victory. Oh, see it in Africa. Oh, yeah.